Well, on behalf of the Honorable Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsbrooks, I want to welcome you here to the second annual Veterans Luncheon. When I walked in the hall, first let me introduce myself. I'm Jonathan Elias from Channel 7 News. Does everybody religiously watch Channel 7 News at 5, 6, and 11 o'clock? Thank you. You helped put food on my table. In addition to my duties as a news journalist, I also head up the 7 Salutes. So I'm always out there scouring for the last 9 years looking for good stories about folks that are doing right by our military, both retired and active duty. In addition to that, I've been an instructor at the United States Army War College for the past 15 years. I teach senior command with the DDE. I graduated the program 17. Where are my Army? Where are you? Ugh. There you go. We got Marines in here too? Yeah. And Navy? Wait, what does the Navy say? There you go. Here. I would say, where are my Air Force friends? But I know what you guys say. My dad always kids, because he was Air Force, and he said, you know, everybody else has got that guttural ooh-ah. We always say, is there going to be cable on this deployment? We just want to make sure that our creature comforts are squared away. Any coasties out there? All right, there we go. And Space Force. And that's where the crickets come in. Well, thank you very much for being here. I think it's two things that happened when I walked in the room. First of all, I felt like I was transported back to the 1950s in Vegas. And it felt like, you know, where's Dean and Sammy and Frank? I mean, this is such a cool thing. But most importantly, the volunteers and the folks from the Veteran Affairs Office from Prince George's County that put this on, a big round of applause for them. This took a ton of work. The room looks fabulous, and to have an opportunity in our lives to just slow down for a second and take a moment to thank all those people who somewhere along the line in their life, in their young lives, decided they were going to put on a uniform and selflessly serve a nation and protect the freedoms that we all enjoy every day. And most of us that never served, they get up, they just don't recognize that those freedoms were fought for. They weren't just handed to them. Somebody stood guard or a post to give them those freedoms. To all who served, to all those who continue to serve, a huge thank you and a big round of applause for you as well. Real quickly, I do want to thank all the young people that you saw up here. You saw them wearing blue. That's the joke in the hierarchy. It's one of the jokes. I mean, all the branches like to kid with each other. The Marines always say they're the most buttoned-down branch by far. Then right below them is Navy and Army. Now, Army outnumbers all the branches combined, right? Stop it. And then the Air Force is a bunch of guys that call each other every morning and go, hey, wear blue today, dude. That's what we're going to do. No, I'm just kidding. I only do that because my dad was a captain in the Air Force. And it's funny because I was born here in D.C., and I was 4 months old when we shipped out to Edwards Air Force Base. And if anybody here has been to Edwards Air Force Base, let me just tell you, it's not the end of the world. But when you're on your tiptoes, you get a hell of a good view from it right there. I'm telling you, it's just in the middle of nowhere, Mojave Desert. But it was a great place to grow up, and I had a good time. But now I'm back to my roots here in D.C. So thank you to all of the junior Air Force ROTC from Laurel High School. They looked fabulous, did a great job. I do want to single out a few of the young people we saw. Malachi, Nelson, Johnny, and Ashley. They were the color guards. They did a great job. And also Kenneth and Adamarius, they did a fabulous job with the Pledge of Allegiance, both in English and in Spanish. So thank you very much for them. And I would be remiss if I didn't say a big, amazing job to Halima Peru, who is the psalmist director of music for the Greater Mount Nebo AME Church. That rendition of the national anthem, I'm standing right here. Holy crap, I don't have my socks on. Blew them right off. That was amazing. I mean, that's a hard song to begin with, and then you just crushed it a cappella. That was beautifully, nicely done. Every time I hear that song, I think of my 3-year-old when she was 3 years old. My daughter would say, Dad, who's Jose? And I'm like, what do you mean Jose? She goes, Jose, can you see? And I'm like, no. So this year, the theme for Prince George's County is don't forget to remember. Or in the news businesses that we like to do, we like to edit. I just remember. Every day should be Veterans Day. When you walk around and you see somebody wearing a hat that said they served in Korea, Vietnam, even World War II, there's some vets still around with World War II, take a second and say thank you, shake their hand. It's a huge appreciation for somebody that did something for you that you have no idea who they ever were. I always taught my kids to do that. When you see somebody in BDUs walking through the airport, just walk up and say, hey, thank you for all you're doing and what you decided to do. They're not making a king's ransom by choosing that vocation, but they're doing something far more important. They're serving our country, and they're serving you at the same time. So when you see Prince George's County says, don't forget to remember, it's reflected when you look around this room, everywhere you look. There are people from all the different branches, from all different eras that have served. So we thank you very much for that. This day is yours, by the way. That's why we're here for you. Also, on the tables in front of you, there's pictures and mementos of times gone by. So maybe you'll be transported back in time when you see that. So those are from different eras, from those who served at different times. We thank you for that as well. And as we continue to remember our veterans, we honor the life of Second Lieutenant Emily Perez, a Prince George's proud county veteran, for her superior service with the inaugural Second Lieutenant Emily Perez Courage Award named in her honor. And in the words of former President John F. Kennedy, the quote was, as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. Or simply put, talk is cheap. When you put on a uniform, that's when the talk ends, and that's when the work begins. So it's good stuff. It's a great day to be a veteran here in Prince George's County. Who says that? Me. That's exactly right. It's his tagline. That's exactly right, Doctor. The next gentleman, I'm told, needs no introduction, but for those of you who don't know this highly esteemed man, it's my honor to introduce to you Dr. James Dula, Veteran Affairs Liaison and retired United States Air Force Major. And I was told that if he is in Prince George's County and you are a veteran, then he either knows you, he's friends with you, knows your family, he knows something about you. There's not a guy more plugged in when it comes to veterans here in Prince George's County. And by the way, there's not just a few of you in Prince George's County. There's 60,000 veterans in Prince George's County. That is a huge population. Dr. Dula, it's your time. Come on up to shine.
Christy came up and gave me what I'm supposed to do. I have several people around me that always say, now don't mess it up. This is what you have to do next. And so I listen very well. But I want to thank Jonathan for those kind words. And still, Jonathan, I'm waiting for my spot on 7 salutes, and we'll talk about that later. We're doing great things in Prince George's County, and this occasion highlights some of the many great things that we are doing. But let us remember, why are we here? Whose shoulders are we standing on? When I look around the room today, I see many of my comrades who served around the world in times of war, times of conflict. And they're here today because we want to say thank you. We are very blessed to have our new vision for Prince George's County, whereas our county executive really gets it. And she says, Doc, I want you to serve the needs of all of our veterans. And not just our veterans, but their families and our Gold Star members. Because we know if we're going to say it takes a village, then everyone must be included. So I want to just highlight some of the shoulders that we stand on. And as we move forward, I want you to remember this. We stand on the shoulders of World War I veterans, the war that would end all wars. Those that fought in the trenches of France in unbearable, inhumane conditions, and was only separated by barbed wire fences from the enemy that they faced. We stand on the shoulders of World War II veterans, the greatest generation. With the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, America was drawn into a war that we tried to stay out of. When we had to fight the Axis powers of Japan and Italy and the Nazis of Germany. The greatest generation, we stand on their shoulders today. A generation that gave us Tuskegee Airmen. Are you in the house, Tuskegee Airmen? Yeah. A generation that gave us 688 that worked so very hard to keep the mail flowing throughout Europe so that morale would continue to be high. We stand on the shoulders of those that served with Patton in North Africa and others throughout the European theater and the Pacific, as my father did in World War II. We stand on the shoulders of our Korean War veterans, those that fought communists and China during the battle in Korea, who endured very cold temperatures and frostbite, and well, we lost approximately 30,000 fellow veterans at that time. We stand on the shoulders of Vietnam veterans. Where are my Vietnam veterans? I and my comrades in Vietnam, a war that was not welcoming back at home. But it was at a time when some were drafted and some volunteered, but they never ran away. They ran to the fight and still came home with ills that would affect them 50 years later. And we have lost many of those Vietnam veterans due to Agent Orange. And those that served in Iraq and Afghanistan, anyone in the house, we thank you for your service, because when terrorism hit our shores, many ran to the fight. Many ran to fight the battle. Brave men and women who said, "Not on our country," and was willing to sacrifice all for our democracy. So while we're here today, this occasion says that we are here to honor the brave men and women who stood firm and stood tall to defend the United States of America and its Constitution, simply because we remembered duty, honor, and country are important. And the fight for democracy is important, because democracy and freedom are not free. So thank you very much for your service. And coming from me, you know I mean it. And on behalf of our county executive, we hope you're enjoying yourself. And please, remember, we must never forget. It is now my pleasure to introduce Jennifer Rios, who will lead us in a moment of silence. Ms. Rios is the president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in Prince George's County, a service-disabled veteran, and CEO of Pinnacle Software Consulting, Inc., and Varied, LLC. Ms. Rios.
Thank you, Dr. Dula, for introducing me. Good morning to you all. It is truly an honor to be here today in the spirit of our gathering and theme. Don't forget to remember. We will unite in our minds and hearts through a moment of silence. The tradition of a separate table in honor of our prisoners of war and missing comrades has been in place since the end of the Vietnam War. As many of you may be aware, the National POW MIA Recognition Day was established in 1979 through a proclamation signed by President Jimmy Carter. POW and MIA Recognition Day is commemorated on the third Friday of every September. As you entered the room, you may have noticed a special table. It is reserved to honor our missing soldiers. The empty chair represents Americans who are or were missing from each of the services: Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard, and civilians, with all of us in spirit. Some here were very young or not yet born when the Vietnam War began. However, all Americans should never forget the brave men and women who answered our nation's call and served the cause of freedom in a special way. Let me explain the meaning of this table. And then please join me for a moment of silent prayer. The table is round to show our everlasting concern. The cloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the calls to serve. The single red rose reminds us of the lives of these Americans and their loved ones and friends who kept their faith while seeking answers. The yellow ribbon symbolizes our continued uncertainty, hope for their return, and determination to account for them and bring them home. A slice of lemon reminds us of their bitter fate captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears of our missing and their families who long for answers after decades of uncertainty. The lighted candle reflects our hope for their return, alive or dead. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain us and their loss from our country, founded as one nation under God. The glass is inverted to symbolize their inability to share a toast. The chairs are empty, they are missing. Let us now bow our heads in honor of their memories and sacrifices for a moment of silence. Thank you.
A second, but Reverend Gerald Folsom, faith-based liaison in the Office of the County Executive, and now bless the food.
Let us pray. God of peace, we pray for those who have served our nation and laid down their lives to protect and defend our freedom, asking that we remember their sacrifices and make right use of our liberty. We pray for those who bear the scars of their service, asking for healing for them in mind, body, and spirit. We pray for those who serve us now, especially for those in harm's way, asking that you shield them from danger and bring them home in safety. We pray for all those who govern, asking that you turn their hearts and minds to the work of establishing a peace born of justice and equity. We pray for all of those who are caught up in conflict around the globe this day, civilians, peacekeepers, and the poor who have no escape, asking that we have the courage to defend the defenseless and make room for those who flee for safety and look to the day when we train for war no more. Bless our county executive, the Honorable Angela Alsobrooks, for this day of honoring the veterans in Prince George's County, Maryland. Bless the food we're about to receive and the celebration that has been prepared for everyone today. And may the God of peace, the peace that passes all human understanding, be the peace that guides and sustains us. Let everybody say, amen.
Veteran involved with this second annual Veterans Luncheon. Thank you as always to our county executive and her great staff that always allows co-consolidated to pour back into our communities. It's a privilege to know and work with so many great men and women here in Prince George's County that have served our country and who have risked their lives putting others before themselves. Co-Consolidated is a purpose-driven company, and we're proud to support our military members and their families today and every day. In 2023, we took steps as a company to create a team dedicated to establishing and growing our first ever veteran and military spouse recruitment and retention initiative. Later this week, we'll formally announce a new partnership with Hiring Our Heroes that will allow for deeper relationships with the military community across our 14-state territory. This partnership will provide co-consolidated teammates the opportunity to participate in virtual and in-person military hiring events, as well as Hiring Our Heroes approved Skill Bridge internship programs. Skill Bridge allows transitioning military members the opportunity to gain civilian work experience through an internship program with employers during the last 6 months of their service. And earlier this year, we also launched a veteran resource group to connect military-affiliated teammates and allies from across the company, offering opportunities to become more engaged and developed personally and professionally. These are just a few tangible ways we seek to support the members of our military community at Co-Consolidated, and most importantly, the county we love, Prince George's County. We're fortunate to call many of these members of the military community our teammates. So in honor of Veterans Day, I want to thank you all for your service, for our country and our county, and the contributions you make each day.
Our county executive, Angela Osbrook was a proud, lifelong Prince Georgian who served as our 8th executive for Prince George's County and is the first woman to hold the position. Her administration is committed to providing a world-class education system, safe communities, and a robust economy that creates jobs and opportunities for all and increases the commercial tax base to ensure residents are provided with services they deserve. What impresses me most about our county executive is not the title she holds, but the fact that she deeply understands this community. Again, she understands the community. That means she cares about us. And as we talk about today's theme, don't forget to remember, our county executive is someone who does not forget to remember the promises that she has made. This includes the promises she made to our veterans, us. That's why, during her first year in office, she made Prince George's County a leader in the state of Maryland by opening the first ever Office of Veterans Affairs to serve over 60,000 and their families. Don't forget, veterans and families. She did not forget us. And now we are the first jurisdiction in Maryland to have a local office dedicated to veterans. But she didn't stop there. She does so much to help veterans and so many others in Prince George's County. So I need y'all's help. Every time I make a statement, I need you to clap. Y'all ready? Yeah. She doubled the number of summer jobs we provide to our youth each summer. Now every child who wants a job can get one. What? She broke ground on 10 new schools in the past 3 years, and 6 have opened this year. And guess what? She is breaking ground on another 8 new schools this year. Next year, she opened the county's first behavioral health facility, helping residents, including us veterans, get better access to mental health care. She secured the funding to build the county's first freestanding cancer center, which opens next year. Man, we gotta say more. Here we go. She created the Returning Citizens Affairs Division in her office to better coordinate resources for individuals who are transitioning back into the community from incarceration. Veterans do get incarcerated as well. She got us through the worst days of the pandemic, getting millions of meals to hungry residents, distributing over $100 million in emergency rental assistance to families, and providing tens of millions of dollars in grants to keep local businesses afloat. That's right. And those are just a few handful of things she has accomplished so far. Prior to serving as our county executive, she also served 2 terms as our state's attorney, the chief law enforcement officer for the county. She was the youngest and first woman to be elected to that position. Yay! She worked to hold violent offenders accountable while creating programs like truancy reduction initiative to get kids back on the right path and back on track. Prince George's to give non-violent first-time offenders a second chance. Working with the public safety leaders and community partners, violent crime dropped 50% in the county during her tenure. That we need. While doing all of this work, serving Prince Georgians, she is also a proud mother. That's probably her number one accomplishment. To her daughter Alex, who just started her freshman year in college this fall. I'm sure she misses her already. Angela also works hard for all of us, and we are so proud to have her as our county executive. She consistently delivers on the promises she's made. And let me tell you this, for as long as we have ever continued to be she's a public servant, she will never forget the 60,000 veterans who call Prince Georgians. To live up to, don't I?
I know.
Now, help me with some noise and welcome to the stage an amazing woman who is helping make Prince George's County the most veteran-friendly county in the state of Maryland. Our very own Angela.
I tell you, that was quite an introduction. I want to say thank you to Angela McCullough. I like to call her, she's what I refer to as a super bad lady. She's a super bad lady.
Yeah, right.
So very much, and she's chair of our Women Veterans Advisory Committee. And so we want to thank her as well for her leadership and for her love. It is such an honor to be here today. You know, the Bible says, pay honor to whom honor is due. And I am just really so grateful to have a chance once again this year to pay honor to so many to whom honor is due. And speaking of honor is due, you know, I was sitting at the table here. We're going to hear in a moment from Colonel Randolph, who's going to be our keynote speaker. But he said something that I thought was worth repeating. He said he has been in the military for 34 years, traveled all around the world. And he said that in terms of veterans treatment and affairs, he's never seen it done better than Prince George's County, Maryland. That's attributable to all of you all, but it's also attributable to someone who I know all of us have come to know and love so much. That's Dr. James Dula. You know, I guess the way I'll describe it is Dr. Dula only speaks one language. It's called veterans. If you have a conversation with Dr. Dula, you best be talking about a veteran and how you can get services and how you can honor our veterans. And so, Dr. Dula, we do honor you. And thank you so much for your commitment and for your love and for your leadership. We met, it's been now 2 decades plus ago that we met when he was there serving at Crossland High School. Working with some of our students there, and the work has not ended, and we just want to thank you so much for your leadership. I know I am also joined here today, I probably missed a few, but I did know that our councilwoman, Juanita Fisher, is in the room. I want to thank her so much for her leadership for being present today. And State's Attorney, Aisha Gray is joining us today. We thank her also. I know I have so many who are part of my cabinet. Deputy Chief Administrative Officer Jared McCarthy, thank you so much for being here, sir. I think I saw Barry Stanton is here, also another Deputy Chief Administrative Officer, and Floyd Hall, and Samantha, and we just have so many who are here from our team, and I want to thank all of them. And I most especially want to say these events, as much as we enjoy them, are not easy to pull off. Requires so much coordination and skill and love. And so I want to just say a huge thank you to our stakeholder engagement team who put together today's event. All of them are present, Daphne and Sonia, and just the whole stakeholder engagement team, Christy. You already did not organized today's function. They have done it. Dr. Bolton, they've all done it with so much love and class, and I want to thank them for that. And I want to just also, again, thank all of our sponsors. You've heard already from Coca-Cola Consolidated. I want to thank them, Andrews Federal Credit Union, Navy Federal Credit Union, Amazon Web Services, Tower Federal Credit Union, and Martin's Crosswinds, all of whom serve as sponsors for today's event. And we certainly want to give them our gratitude in hosting today. I'd like to acknowledge a few other people who joined us today. We've enjoyed so much. Our MC today, Jonathan Elias, thank you so much for MC today, taking time out of your schedule to be with us. And then our program participants. I'm so proud, I know you all felt proud as well to see our Laurel High School color guard led by Lieutenant Colonel John Nyland House. Weren't they amazing? Really, today. And you're going to hear from him in a moment, but I do want to say thank you to our keynote speaker, Colonel Todd Randolph, who is here with his wife today. I want to thank them both for being present. We were so sad, and we heard that Colonel Randolph and his family suffered a loss. Their uncle, who was a veteran, his name was Sonny Proctor. He passed away very recently, but we're grateful that Sonny's children are here today. Glenda Brown and Yvette Proctor and Anthony Proctor. So your family is with Sonny. Please welcome them today as well. And I want to thank another special family who are in attendance with us today. And it really is an honor to have this family present. We are just really blessed today to be able to honor a distinguished individual who will be receiving the inaugural, for our inaugural Emily Perez Courage Award, bearing the name of a proud Prince Georgian who made the ultimate sacrifice and left an unforgettable legacy in her time with us. It's truly an honor for us to have the Perez family who are here. So the Perez family, if you can please stand up and be acknowledged. They are here. We want to thank them for their presence. We're going to have more to say about her, and they did what I can tell you about Emily Perez. She represented for Prince George's County the very best we had to offer. And I will say to her family, we will continue to speak her name. We will never, ever forget her. We are so very proud of her and very proud of what she represented. She did make the ultimate sacrifice for our country, and we're going to keep speaking her name. Finally, I want to applaud every single veteran that is in this room today. We remember those who are currently serving, those who are no longer with us but live in our memories, and we cannot say thank you enough to each of you for your service and for your sacrifices. And we are just so proud today to be with you. Keeping the memory alive is a part of what today's luncheon is all about. It's what Veterans Day and Veterans Appreciation Week is all about. It's what all these pictures of our country's veterans that are set up around the room are about. It's the purpose of today's theme, Don't Forget to Remember. All of the pictures around us and all of the people and families here in attendance represent the approximately 60,000 veterans that Prince George's County is proud to claim as our residents. In fact, you've already heard it, but it's worth repeating that we have the largest veterans population in the entire state, and we are so grateful for every single one of them. Let's talk a minute about debts and sacrifice. At one point in your life, maybe you lent something to someone. Or maybe you've heard of someone doing a favor for somebody else. And when the time came when you needed a favor in return, or when it became time to settle the debt, that person responded with excuses or could not be found. For the sacrifices that our veterans have made for us and for our country, we will never turn our backs or disappear. We owe them a unique debt of gratitude and care. And when the time comes for our veterans to meet us, they shouldn't have to wonder where we are. We won't duck them. We won't make excuses. We go out looking for them in order to wrap our arms around them. And this isn't the sort of debt that is settled with a single thank you. To our veterans, what you've given for us must always remain fresh in our minds. It's a sacrifice we must never forget, and our county will always remember. That's why at the beginning of our administration, I made a commitment to see you and to listen to you. That's why we established our county's Office of Veterans Affairs, or OVA as we call it. And in fact, we were the first jurisdiction in the state of Maryland to have an office solely dedicated to supporting local veterans. OVA is our resource center dedicated to serving veterans and their families and collaborates with county agencies, nonprofit organizations, and businesses to create programs that serve the needs of our veterans. Since it opened, OVA has assisted thousands of our county's residents. And our Help for Hope initiative has revolutionized how OVA addresses the needs of our veterans and their families. We provide help with issues such as health, housing, employment, labor skills, and disability assistance. And veterans can find hope in our outreach efforts for suicide awareness, surviving spouse assistance, and youth mentoring. OVA has been out front on behalf of our veterans. For example, OVA serves more than 2,000 customers monthly through the OVA Military Veterans and Family Center. OVA has also worked on the state's initial Governor's Challenge to address mental health and suicide prevention across the state. And earlier this year, OVA held the county's first prostate cancer on-site participation, which offered PSA screening on-site for veterans. 10,000 of our 60,000 county veterans are women, which represents a higher percentage of veterans in Prince George's County than the national average of women's veterans. To meet their needs, we opened the Military Women Veterans Center, chaired by our super bad Angela McCullough. We've also established a Military Women Veterans Advisory Committee, which focuses on our county's women veterans and their families. This includes active duty members, reservists, and members of the National Guard residing in Prince George's County. And we have the Prince George's County Commission for Veterans, made up of 9 appointed members, which develops and promotes new and existing programs and services for veterans and their families. I'm proud of the work that these organizations do, and our debt to veterans doesn't have an expiration date, partly because they haven't stopped serving us. Our veterans are active participants in all areas of our community. They remain an inspiration for so many of our residents. Those of you in this room today are role models for the next generation, like our Laurel High School JROTC members here today. You're a never-ending member of what it truly means, you're a never-ending reminder of what it truly means to give. So today is just a small token of our gratitude, and we're here to promise that you won't be forgotten when it's no longer Veterans Appreciation Week. No matter what branch of our military you served in, no matter how long ago or how recently you served, we'll never forget to remember what you sacrificed for our county and for our nation. So enjoy, please, the rest of today's program, and may God continue blessing you, and may God continue to bless our beautiful county. Thank you.
General McGee was talking about, some young man asked him, hey, what's your call sign? What was your call sign during the war? He said, well, I was Red Tail. That was my call sign. We were the Red Tails, but I was Red Tail. And this old man behind him said, wait a minute, you were Red Tail? And he said, yes, he was. He goes, I was Cottontail. And he turned around and he looked at him, and this guy was just short, white, blonde, white hair, white guy just standing there. He said, I was Cottontail. These two had never met before. Wow. The only thing they knew about each other was over the radio. He'd say, Cottontail, who do we have today? He goes, Red Tail. And Cottontail told me, this old man told me, he said, when I heard Red Tail had my 6, I knew I was going to have a good day. Because we had a lot of bombers that went down, but when those guys escorted you, they were badass in the air, and we knew we were going to have a good day. These two had never seen each other. And Cottontail didn't even know he was black. He's like, wait a minute, hold on a second. And these two guys, it was just, I sat back and I got shivers because they hugged each other, they started talking, and they were asking about each other and their families. All they knew each other was by their call sign and their ability in the air. That was it. And they came together and met them. Cool thing. All right, I want to introduce you our keynote speaker, because Andrews Air Force Base, if you're not familiar, this is the most protected airspace in the entire world, and I think I can say that without any question. That you don't fly a Cessna over our, wait a minute, they have flown a Cessna over ours. You fly a Cessna over our area, chances of you getting shot down go up exponentially. It's not a good time if your maps are not current and you're flying over Washington, D.C. Their job is to patrol our airspace, but they do so much other. Air Force One is there, you've got the Air Force One detail, Marine One detail, all of them come through Andrews. It's a very active base. And we're lucky enough to have with us the colonel who's in charge of that base, the base commander. So we are so Prince George is proud and honored to have an incredibly accomplished keynote speaker, Colonel Todd Randolph, who for close to 40 years has served our country. And he has deployed all over the world. And when I say that, it's not just him, it's his family. You know, he's the one wearing the uniform. Those folks are serving just as much as he is, if not more, because they have to deal with all the adversity and the moves that are ahead of them. I want to bring to the stage Colonel Randolph. Please come on up.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's not every day you get introed by a TV celebrity, so soaking that in a little bit. But what a privilege and honor to be here to celebrate our veterans today and always. I would like to begin by thanking the parents of Second Lieutenant Emily Perez, Daniel and Vicky Perez, for your presence today. I'm thankful for the opportunity to meet with you today in honor of your daughter's lifelong service to our nation and Prince George's County. We are all inspired by the life of Lieutenant Perez, and her legacy of courage lives on in our service members today. To our Prince George's County Executive, Madam Alsobrook, thanks for extending this invitation for Penny and I to join you and for me to speak with you today. Dr. Dula and the Prince George's County Office of Veteran Affairs for your unwavering commitment to the military veterans community as a whole. I am thankful to live and work in a community so dedicated to its service members and our families. To the distinguished guests, elected officials, and especially our veterans in the room, thank you for your service to our nation in each of your unique ways. As of the last U.S. Census, veterans make up only approximately 6% of the nation's adult population. For those of you within that 6%, never forget that our community and our country is better and stronger because of you. As we pause to honor our veterans and their selfless sacrifices to ensure our freedoms, it is important that we also pause to think of those suffering around the world today, some of whom are deprived of the freedom we take for granted here sometimes in the United States. Our hearts and our thoughts are with the Israeli people during this difficult time, and especially with families who have tragically lost their loved ones in the recent Hamas terrorist attack. The United States unequivocally condemns those horrific terrorist attacks, with over 1,000 civilians murdered, including U.S. citizens and those who remain unaccounted for. We also mourn the many innocent Palestinians who have nothing to do with Hamas and have died in this conflict, and those suffering as a result of the worsening humanitarian crisis. Today, I would like to reflect on the history of Veterans Day and what it means to celebrate this holiday. Armistice Day, as this commemoration was first proclaimed, recognized the day the ceasefire was signed during World War I, putting an end to hostilities in 1918 on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Armistice Day was first designated to honor those who fought in World War I, which was said to be war to end wars. As we know all too well, wars did not end. Following World War II and the Korean War, Congress replaced the word armistice with veterans in 1954 to honor all Americans, all veterans. While the name of this day of remembrance has changed, its fundamental purpose remains unchanged: to honor America's veterans for their patriotism, their love of country, and their willingness to serve the common good. Each year on Veterans Day, we gather to honor America's veterans for their quiet courage and exemplary service. It is an opportunity to express our gratitude and acknowledge their many sacrifices and accomplishments. It is not the powerful weapons or sophisticated technology that make our Department of Defense the greatest in the world. The true strength of our military is the spirit and the skill of our people, our airmen, our guardians, our soldiers, our sailors, our Marines, our Coast Guardsmen. This Veterans Day, we honor the unwavering courage of the 19 million veterans who have served in our armed forces, past and present. Many have gone on to become our teachers, police officers, firefighters, colleagues, and neighbors. Our veterans are a diverse group represented by individuals of every economic, ethnic, and religious background. They come from every state and territory, but are bound by one common commitment: to defend America with their life if called upon. Whether they wear the uniform today or wore it decades ago, veterans represent a steadfast dedication and exemplify the highest ideals of service to our nation. This year, I'd like to take some time to remember the service of a special veteran from our family, our Uncle William Sonny Prophet, who recently passed on his 93rd birthday on September 16th. Critically, celebrating Veterans Day is also a call to action. May we never forget to remember. A reminder that it is our sacred responsibility as Americans to fight for those who fought for us, to care for those who cared for us, and to serve those who served us, our veterans. It's the job of every American to remember and support our veterans. Serving in the world's greatest air, space, and cyberspace force for over 34 years has been an amazing experience for Penny and I and our family, in large part due to the great societal support and care for veterans I've enjoyed throughout my career. But make no mistake about it, of all the states we've served in, and all the counties and jurisdictions we've been a part of, no one does it better than Prince George's County. And throughout our career, we knew we always had a super supporter, and there was none bigger than our Uncle Sonny. Uncle Sonny, a lifelong Prince Georgian, an Army veteran who served from 1951 to 1953. Upon his discharge from the Army, he settled in on a career with the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission in 1954, and he retired in 1987 after 27 years of serving the Prince George's County community. Prince George's County was also where Uncle Sonny and his family, the broader Proctor family, raised their families and still do today. He was quoted as saying, "I've been retired longer than I've worked." And boy, did he enjoy his retirement. Mostly because he focused his retirement on time with his family, time with us. When you saw Uncle Sonny, it was always in conjunction with some member of his family. A lifelong Marylander and PG County resident, he knew this place like the back of his hand and would often be relied on for directions. He was Google, MapQuest, and GPS long before those technologies existed. If you wanted to know how to get somewhere and avoid the traffic in this environment, you would call Uncle Sonny, and he always had time for you. It's unfortunate Uncle Sonny is no longer with us. However, his daughter Glenda and his son Anthony are here with us today to represent him. Thank you for being here today to share in this moment to honor your father, our uncle, and one of our veterans. I've gotten to know Uncle Sonny and my cousins through many family gatherings over Penny's and I 3 decades of marriage and military service. Every assignment, every deployment, every military event, we had Uncle Sonny would ask, "How are we doing? How's it going? And are you doing a good job?" Most recently, in 2020 to 2022, we were stationed at Cannon Air Force Base in Clovis, New Mexico. He would ask Glenda and Yvette when I was bringing Penny back home. Well, Uncle Sonny must have had worked some magic because shortly thereafter, we were notified of our assignment to be the command team for Joint Base Andrews in Prince George's County, Maryland. He was so excited to have us return. He was one of the first people we visited when we returned. And he was front and center at our change command ceremony at Joint Base Andrews last summer. At the end of the ceremony, he simply said to me, "Great job." Every day since, he and I had a little thing where he'd just look at me and say, "Great job running that base you got over there." So when Glenda, Yvette, and Anthony invited us to his birthday party on September 16th, even though we were preparing to host our two most senior leaders in the Air Force to celebrate our 76th Air Force birthday, we had the Secretary of the Air Force, Chief of Staff of the Air Force, and about 1,300 airmen, soldiers, sailors, and Marines, and Coast Guardsmen to celebrate our Air Force Ball. But we knew the most important person for us to see that day was our Uncle Sonny. We had a great time celebrating his birthday with him and with the family, but unbeknownst to us, while at the ball, we would learn that our Uncle Sonny passed. On his 93rd birthday. What a way to go out. After receiving the invitation from Dr. Dula and his team, Uncle Sonny was planning to be here with us today for this celebration amongst his fellow veterans. He would have been very proud to be mentioned amongst you great men and women in the audience today. We're proud of Uncle Sonny's military service, as well as his service and dedication to Prince George's County. While Uncle Sonny is no longer with us in the physical, he will always be with us in our hearts and in our minds. So in closing, I will say this. Veterans Day is a day of honor and a day to honor. As we celebrate and reflect, I thank everyone who has worn a U.S. military uniform for their honorable service and answering our nation's call. To our veterans engaged in combat, stability, and humanitarian operations around the world, we honor you. To the service members who paid the ultimate sacrifice and are still missing or unaccounted for, we honor you by remembering the sacrifices you and your families made for our great nation. You may be gone, but you will never be forgotten. Again, I'd like to say thank you, Madam Also Brooks, Dr. Dula, and Prince George's County Office of Veteran Affairs for embracing members of Joint Base Andrews and the larger military veteran community in such a fabulous way. Thank you for inviting me to speak on this day, and I thank you for the many service members and your sacrifices. May God bless each of you and your families. May God bless all of our veterans, and may God continue to bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, girl. We're pressed for time because I understand this place is going to kick us out because they have another function to go to. So it's not you, it's not me, it's this place. So we're going to move around along. I'd like to bring up County Executive Angela Alsobrooks. I'd like to bring up Dr. Dula, please. Also, Franklin Killebrew, retired Master Sergeant of the United States Air Force. He's going to be this year's recipient of the Perez Award. And I want to bring up the Perez family as well. They all just come up to the stage for us real quick.
Any relation to Army Bill?
We get in front of Yeah, I'm actually shooting. You good? You good? You good? Can we get in front of
All of y'all.
If you're gonna get in front, you're gonna have to bend down.
Yeah, been down.
Yeah.
Picture will be available.
All right, so this is really a special moment to have an opportunity to read, first of all, a proclamation honoring Lieutenant Emily Perez. And I can say to her family what an honor it is for me to be able to do this today. I have heard about Emily over the years. Emily's principal at the time, when she was at Oxon Hill High School, mentioned her to me many times. She was just that kind of person. She was so special. And everyone in her school community celebrated her. I've met others who come to know her, and she's just a really, really special person. And so the proclamation reads, whereas the Office of the County Executive for Prince George's County, Maryland, wishes to recognize the life and legacy of Second Lieutenant Emily J.T. Perez with the creation of the Second Lieutenant Emily Perez Courage Award. Whereas Lieutenant Perez was a proud Prince Georgian who graduated in the top 10 students in her class from Oxon Hill High School. She attended the United States Military Academy in West Point, where she became the highest ranking African-American female cadet in the history of West Point. After graduating from West Point, Perez was commissioned a second lieutenant and deployed to Iraq as a medical services corps officer near Najaf, Iraq. A makeshift bomb exploded near Lieutenant Perez's vehicle. And whereas Lieutenant Perez's military awards include the Bronze Star, Purple Heart, Army Commendation Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Iraq Campaign Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Army Service Ribbon, Overseas Service Ribbon, and the Combat Action Badge. And whereas Prince George's County has created the Second Lieutenant Emily Perez Courage Award to honor the legacy and heroism of Second Lieutenant Emily Perez, the annual award honors a proud Prince Georgian who has been honorably discharged from the military and continues to give back to their community. Now, therefore, I, Angela Alsonbrooks, County Executive for Prince George's County, Maryland, do hereby recognize and proclaim the 8th day of November 2023 as Second Lieutenant Emily J.T. Perez Day in Prince George's County, in honor of her outstanding and dedicated service and heroism to our county, state, and nation. Further, I encourage all Prince Georgians to honor the life and legacy of Lieutenant Emily Perez, who made the ultimate sacrifice protecting the freedoms that we all enjoy. Now, and because I am 50, I'm trying to make sure I can see. Oh, there we go, there it goes. Okay. You know what, I can
So silly. You know my dad be doing
yeah, the middle-aged lady, this is pretty cool. But, okay, so this reads, Second Lieutenant Emily Perez Courage Award is presented to Combat Sergeant Franklin Killibree, United States Air Force retired, for your courageous commitment to service, leadership, in the community, presented by Angela Alsonbrooks, Prince George's County Executive. We are so very proud to make this presentation today.
All right.
Thank you.
All eyes right together.
You're good, Prince.